Welcome to the CEO Tech Talks podcast, where vision meets impact. I am your host, Ambreen Ahmed. Each episode, I sit down with exceptional leaders who are shaping the future of business, technology, and transformation. This show is about more than just success. It's about clarity, purpose, and those bold decisions that light the way forward. Join me as we uncover the insights, challenges, and breakthroughs from today's most inspiring voices. Leaders who are redefining what it means to lead in a rapidly changing world. This is CEO Tech Talks. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Richard Frederick, CEO of Strategic All-Source Intelligence. Great to meet you, Rich. Thank you for being here.
Yes, great to meet you as well, Ambreen. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into it. Can you share a little bit about your role and Strategic All-Source Intelligence?
Sure. So I am founder and CEO of Strategic All-Source Intelligence Agency. We are a private intelligence firm based out of Orlando, Florida. Primary focus is digital footprinting. So looking at a company or executive or individual's digital footprint and kind of mapping that out, seeing what that looks like. Also vetting and integrity intelligence and reputation and monitoring, cyber resilience.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Sounds intense, actually. I saw in a recent article that you argue that traditional business intelligence is backward looking, as if you're looking in a rear view mirror when you're driving. What does forward looking or intelligence mindset look like for businesses today? And what initial steps would you advise leaders to take?
Sure. So forward looking is essentially, as I mentioned in the article, it's looking at things how an intelligence agency would look. So when you're looking at your competition, you are looking at more than just their financials or what their projections look like for the next 12 months. You're looking at other areas to where you can have an impact. So looking at individuals within the corporation, looking at additional factors that could have impacts on the business as a whole. So in typical intelligence fashion, you look for indicators of compromise, you look for indicators of people that can be put in compromising positions or people that can be exploited. So kind of going at it the same way, looking at potential indicators of compromise, seeing where there might be exploitable activities, whether that be through the business dealings or whether that's through individuals within that situation as well. And then vetting, that kind of leads into the vetting. So when you're talking about vetting individuals, typical background checks are, look at criminal history and sexual offender and the normal things that come up in a background check. Well, this day and age, everyone is on social media. Everyone is on the internet. Everyone has a digital footprint. So your digital footprint basically is like your shadow. It kind of follows you everywhere you go. Having that ability to kind of look into that and look at your digital footprint and kind of see where things take you on the internet and kind of what you can find, because there's a lot of things that kind of sit out there that people don't even really know that are sitting out there about them. So, going a little bit deeper when you're looking at things is kind of that mindset there when I refer to as, looking at things like an intelligence agency.
We don't consider a lot of these things for ourselves and for people in our network are just in our bubble, just people we meet every day. So what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now, and how might that have impacted your business growth strategy?
So one of the biggest things that we're seeing has to do with individual protection or executive protection. You've got some pretty high profile cases recently with the Universal Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, getting shot and killed in Manhattan. And then you had the other situation that just happened recently with the individual that was targeting the NFL, went in the office building and killed a number of people in there attempting to get to the NFL headquarters and target individuals there. So executive protection is definitely a big shift that we're seeing within the industry. And there's a lot more focus being placed on executive protection. And as a result of the focus on executive protection, there's a bigger shift and a bigger emphasis on monitoring, threat monitoring. And that's one of the service pillars that we offer is threat and reputation monitoring. Definitely seeing a lot more interest on the threat monitoring side, just due to recent events and wanting to make sure that companies are in their executives, their families, and individuals surrounding them are safe.
Okay. Wow, that's intense. What does a typical day look like for you?
So for me, a good amount of my day is spent on the business development side. So looking for that next opportunity, networking with people that I've met, people that are part of my network, that are other individuals that are out there that might be looking for some other type of services, and just kind of promoting the business and putting as much information out there as I can to try to generate interest and to generate buzz.
Okay. So, what's working well for you right now, and what's been frustrating within your business?
Sure. So I think just like with everyone else in this day and age, everything comes down to money, dollars and cents. The spend on, consulting type services has gone down significantly. And a lot of companies are scaling back when it comes to spending on consulting services. That's probably the biggest issue in terms of where we're seeing some resistance and having some difficulty is that spend is coming down. People are not wanting to spend that, significant amounts of money. And as a result of that, it's affecting how people look at the services, that I offer. However, on the flip side of that, because of the resistance in spending, a significant amount of money on consulting like services, small businesses like myself are actually seeing a little bit of an increase in interest in companies wanting to work with us versus dealing with the bigger and larger consulting firms who are charging these high six-figure amounts to do very small assessments. And so I think what you're seeing is a lot of companies are not wanting to spend that type of money and not seeing the return on investment. So they're wanting to basically scale that down. So that kind of plays into my hand a little bit better as being a small business, because I have less overhead. I don't have to charge the same amount as, say a larger firm like KPMG or something like that.
Okay. Which metrics are you most focused on improving?
I would say, focus more on improving the ratio of return from, say, from email campaigns and things like that. Send out a significant amount of email campaigns. Just, everyone is so bombarded with emails on a daily basis, and there's so many emails that people get. It's hard to get people's interest in actually opening your email and actually looking at your email. And then, from what studies have shown essentially is that past the first, say, 3 lines of your email, that's kind of where people lose interest. You kind of have to, so it puts a lot of pressure on you to kind of put as much information, but in a short amount of words, basically, a short amount of sentences. So, scaling that down to where you can kind of get your message across in a very quick and efficient way, but also getting people's interest and getting them to want to click that call to action to reach out to you and to schedule an appointment or schedule an exposure audit, which is kind of what we do.
Where do you want to be in 6 to 12 months from now?
6 to 12 months from now, I would like to be in a position to where I've gotten hopefully some government contracts. The government contracting space has been a little bit on shaky ground this year, and there's been a lot of turmoil and
Sure.
just a lot of turnover in terms of individuals within the government space, and then contracts being cut. So I kind of focused a lot of my energy away from the government space this year to try to capitalize on other areas because of the influx and what was going on within the government space. But hopefully there's more opportunities within the government space. And I think that with my background in the working in the DoD and in the intelligence community, that's kind of somewhere where I want to focus a lot more of my energy and kind of put effort into getting in that arena. So in 6 to 12 months, I would hopefully be in a position to where I'm on at least one or two government contracts, just kind of playing the waiting game right now to see how things shape out. I've got some things that I'm kind of working on. I've got some things that, I've bid on. So I'm just kind of waiting to kind of find out how that plays out. So hopefully further down the line, we'll be able to, say, okay, yeah, this is panned out in that area.
Okay. Good luck with that. If you could solve one major challenge today for your business, what would it be?
I think the major challenge for my business would be getting individuals to understand the value. And I think that my business is a little unique in that, we look at digital footprinting, we're essentially auditors. I kind of equate it to being an auditor. The downside of that is nobody wants to talk to an auditor. Nobody, it's just like when the IRS is trying to talk to you. No one wants to talk to the IRS. But we're not an auditor in the terms of, we're here to call you out on, what you have going on and hold your feet to the fire and things like that. We're an auditor in the terms of we're here to help you see where your faults are and help you see where you can make improvements to improve your organization. Looking at your digital footprint and, focusing efforts on your vetting intelligence as well as threat monitoring. Those are all key things within a business that every business should be focusing on. We also do fractional chief intelligence officer support as well. So that's another area that every company should have a chief intelligence officer. It's a C-suite role that is kind of overlooked because there's a focus on so many different areas and a lot of times people don't know where intelligence kind of falls within the frame of things. Does that fall under security? Does that fall under HR? Does that fall under legal? Does that fall under IT? Is it under the purview of the CISO, or is it under the purview of the COO? So there's so many different elements, and the thing is, like, counterintelligence, intelligence, insider threat, all of that falls under what should be a C-suite level position, which is a chief intelligence officer. And that person should kind of have oversight of that. And it should be, as I mentioned, at a C-suite level. And so all of the services and the pillars that I provide would fall within that. But again, having companies kind of see the value in that and see where that actually benefits them is the biggest challenge that I face. And I think that, once you kind of present that to a company and once you kind of show them what they're missing and show them the
Sure.
things that are out there that they're not actually seeing, it kind of presents a little bit more value and it presents a little bit more of a call to action on their part and, a sense of urgency.
Okay. Well, to follow up on that note, what outcomes have you seen when organizations embrace that advisory model?
So definitely a reduction in your digital footprint, a reduction in the amount of exploitable content that exists about an organization or an individual. We're seeing so many different cases of ransomware attacks. There was just this week, you had the state of Nevada essentially get shut down over a ransomware attack. All the state government offices were shut down. And what we definitely see is that surprisingly, over 70% of ransomware attacks are preventable, and they are due to human error. So, we've got all these AI models and, LLMs and different tools at our disposal nowadays that kind of help to automate things, help make things easier. And, discover things and security tools and everything else. But at the end of the day, it's typically the individual that is the weakest link. It is the actual person. And there's been numerous cases where you've seen people that essentially walk through the front door. They are reaching out to your IT staff, and they're reaching out to individuals in HR and getting information out of them that basically allows them to enter your network without even having to hack into it.
Yep, we need to definitely take measures to protect ourselves and our organizations. As we wrap up our podcast here, what would you like to share in closing remarks, and how can people connect with you?
Sure. So what I'd like to share is that focusing on digital footprint and looking at your digital footprint needs to be a regular part of your cyber hygiene. So looking at what's out there, not just for company or a large organization, but for the little guy. Everyone needs to take a concerted effort to look at their digital footprint and kind of see what's out there about them. And then as far as, some of the other things that we offer, so like the integrity vetting and integrity intelligence and the threat and reputation monitoring, when you are dealing with executives and celebrities, high net worth individuals, threat monitoring and vetting are such important pillars of they're such important pillars as part of your overall security apparatus. So being able to look at who are the individuals around you. So who are the individuals around your executives? Who are the individuals that you're bringing into your inner circle? So, just for simple things like, so an executive, say a celebrity is hiring a housekeeper, or they need a driver to pick up their kids and take them to pick up their kids from school and drop them off at soccer practice and whatever else the case might be, or they need a personal assistant, those type of things. How much effort is being spent on actually vetting those individuals that you're allowing into your inner circle, that you're allowing around your families, that you are basically giving access to your everyday life? How much is that worth to you to kind of understand about these individuals that you're allowing into your everyday life? And then as far as the threat monitoring piece, looking at how important is it to you to understand what the threats are? If there's people that are talking online, if there's online chatter about potential attacks or potentially targeting someone, want to know in advance, or do you want to find out after that individual standing outside of your front door with a gun?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah.
So these are all things that, executive, large organizations, small organizations, high net worth individuals, celebrities, influencers, entertainment world, these are all things that people at that level need to be concerned with and need to actually take a concerted effort to look at. Yeah, so that's my closing message, I guess, is to, this is something that everyone should kind of be concerned with. And as far as to where to find me, you can go to my website. It's sasintel.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, SAS Intel Agency, also Facebook and Instagram at SAS Intel Agency.
Thank you so much, Rich. This has been eye-opening. Thank you for joining CEO Tech Talks. I hope today's conversation sparked new insights and inspiration for your own leadership journey. Until next time, stay inspired, stay visionary, and keep leading with light. Brought to you by Neura AI Consulting.